Hello everyone and welcome back to Landscapes.
Welcome.
And today you are joining again one of Sonia's watercolor tutorials, and today we'll be looking at how to paint
Waterscapes.
waterscapes.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? We'll actually look at water, right? But not as just in this first step, not as just water in itself, but we'll look at the water in context, right?
That's right.
So what does that mean? In context, is it going to be in context of a landscape or?
Yeah, it's gonna be in context of a landscape. The thing is that when we think about the coast and the sea, we immediately think about water, but water is just one of the elements that construct or build this environment that's so appealing to you. And today we're gonna look into this topic. So how can we emphasize one thing or another? We're gonna just get in touch a bit with that kind of landscape and try to create a few sketches or small paintings on that you can work on later on or explore your own techniques and style, maybe create your own views.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So today we'll take you step by step through this, or rather Sonia will take you. I'll be here on the comments on the keyboard, and you can always ask questions in the live chat. We'd love to get some feedback, get some questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. And if you're watching this in replay, of course, just leave us a comment in the description.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to you.
Yeah. And for all those who are here for the first time, hello, welcome to Landscapes channel. My name is Sonia and this is Kasper. We do tutorials and videos about creativity and drawing.
And we're having fun by doing that.
Usually.
Most of the time.
All of the time.
Like 97% of the time.
And the 3 is just like...
internet is not working.
Yeah, or
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I suggest we go right into it.
Yeah.
You explaining a bit about how water should be looked in the context of a landscape, because one of the most common mistakes we've seen is like actually the positioning of the water in a landscape, understanding it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll, go back to the questions if someone already has something. Meanwhile, people can prepare their watercolors, their watercolor paper.
Yeah, prepare the usual. The paper, we need at least A4 page of paper and then a brush or two. If you have like mixing palette or a plate would be also fine. Some masking tape or washi tape, watercolors, and of course water, some paper tissues, maybe a pencil, and you're ready to go.
All right, let's roll.
Yeah.
So lesson number 1.
Yeah, so as I already mentioned, we have this whole arrangement of elements, and this kind of landscape is constructed out of water, which you can also differentiate between, right? When you see the water surface, there is not just water. You can differentiate between deep water, then you have the shallow water, and then you have the wet beach. And then, of course, you have the dry beach, and this dry beach is constructed also, it has many different elements. It has sand with different sand patterns. Then it also has some vegetation. This vegetation can be or some grasses, it can also be some shrubs, or even different kind of vegetation, some palm trees or like mixed vegetation in the background. And then you have the topography, which are the mountains in the background. Sometimes those are cliffs or bigger stones, maybe boulders. So there's a lot going on. And most of all, what influences this landscape is also the sky. So it's quite important that we get the right kind of balance in your drawing or in your painting.
Yeah, this, I would say, is one of the most common things that we actually correct on our Feedback Fridays, where we get stuff in from people. Mm-hmm. People send a lot of, let's say, water landscapes, sketches of water, of seaside, beaches, stuff like that. And I would say, because this is such an empty space, that composition is one of the most important things you can consider when painting or considering like a landscape like water. I mean, water like landscape. So we also prepared, an important question that you have to ask yourself. So these are the elements, and then, of course, where is your focal point?
Yeah. So that's very important. You need to know what are you focusing on. Is it water? Is it the sky? Is there any interesting element that you would like to put in focus? What's your focal point? Is it an architecture object, or maybe that's mountains or some cliffs that have very special or interesting texture? So think about those questions, because that means that it's not necessary that you focus constantly on everything with the same amount of detail and attention. You can leave some textures and some elements out.
Exactly. So focal point, having a focal point, I would say, is one of the most important aspects of a good composition. Basically, if you have any art or any image, basically any visual thing you create, photography, in drawing, painting, whatever, a focal point is essential because it lets us focus on something. And also Sonia today will show you how to do it more abstractly and how to find a focal point basically in a water landscape. There are many possibilities and many options, and you just keep that in your head, in your mind.
So I also suggest that we start preparing our piece of paper.
Yeah, I'll go to the comments in real quick while you prepare it.
So what we want to do is, if you have your masking tape, you need right now, the best way is just to start dividing your piece of paper. So if you're using something smaller like A5 format, you can just divide it in half, but we want to have like A6 sizes, or if you would divide one A4 page of paper into 4 halves, you would get like for approximately the same sizes of surfaces on which we're gonna draw our drawings or paintings.
So this tape, is it necessary or?
Well, I'm using masking tape because it's much easier to control the edge, so the line, and it also prevents me from just spilling paint all over the table as well. So it's serving as some sort of on one hand as an aesthetical frame, or on the other hand also as something practical.
Yeah, protecting our nice table, which we bought recently, and it's already full of paint spots. But this is good, a creative corner should be a bit messy, I would say.
True.
Okay, so we have here the many, usual suspects today. We have Surmai, we have Michelle, and we have Carlos, we have Marianne, we have Louis, we have Anne, Roxy, Samantha here again, Maria, hi Maria again, and then Eleonora is here with Giga as well watching.
Wow, hi.
And so hello to you, and Blaž is also here. Amazing group of people, and right away, before we go into it, I will just send out a heart to Michelle. Michelle just, already at the beginning, before we started, sent us a donation. So thanks a lot, Michelle. We really appreciate it. And this heart is for you. All right.
Thank you, Michelle.
Before we start, we need like 3 yeses, usually, more or less.
Yes,
I'd say.
Yes.
3 yeses from you. Are you ready? Are you going to paint with us? If you're just going to watch, just write, just watching today. And then you are the person who can chat more with me, while Sonia and the rest will be painting. So.
But if we don't get 3 yeses, then we can't start, because that's the indication that you're not yet ready yet, and that you need to prepare your materials. And of course, we need to wait for you.
We've got 2. We got Maria and we got Carlos saying yes
one missing.
and yes.
One missing. It's not like We got the third one. Okay, so now we can start.
Now we can start. So once again, for those of you who have just joined, what we need today basically is just a piece of paper as heavy as possible. That is good for watercolors. You know, Sonia is working with 300-gram paper, some watercolor, and some water, some brushes,
A pencil.
and your humble self.
Of course.
Yeah, that's all you basically need.
Open mind and a lot of creative thinking.
Let it in.
Yes.
Okay.
Ready?
So, yeah, I will blend in the first image, right?
Yeah.
That we'll be doing. Okay, this would be this one.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
No, I can't. Where are they?
I do not know. Maybe. Okay, we got a little bit of technical difficulties, but do not worry. We will definitely overcome them, as we always do.
Oh, I know what happened.
You moved them.
No, I renamed them.
Okay.
Yeah, always when you rename something, then a problem occurs.
Okay, so do you want people to see the image we'll be painting, or do you want them to paint along with you?
No, I think it's better if they paint with us.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll just go...
No, if they see the picture as well.
Okay, all right, so maybe you can quickly explain how to do this.
Okay. Should I?
Yeah, better do it. I'll let Sonia do it, and meanwhile, I will chat with all of you. You know, I still haven't learned how to manage this live stream because this is like Sonia's realm, and you know, I don't want to intrude there, but it would be useful, I think, in such moments if I could also do it. So should I learn it? I probably should, right? Probably should look at this program.
And it's always so interesting. Always when we're under some sort of pressure, somehow everything starts to glitch. I have the feeling that everything moves so slow. Look, I can hardly move my mouse right now. I don't know why, but it just doesn't work as it should.
But that's technology. It can like smell when you're nervous. When you're a bit under pressure, it can smell that people are watching live, and then it starts to protest.
So this one is the first one.
Yeah.
Should I show you how to do it or
later?
Later. Okay.
I would say we dive into it.
Okay, so this is the first one. Okay, so for the first one, I would like for you just to focus on the elements, like in sense what you see. And we don't want to be very precise here. I intentionally chose photos which are lacking in color, so which have just one or two colors. That's why it's easier for you, and you can also focus on just what you see. So basically more on the colors or the contrasts. And for this one, let's just focus on the colors first. We have three tones, we have three colors. One is the dark brown, then we have the light brown for the sand, and then we also have the blue one. So we're gonna start with so we have those three colors. I think if I would look at my color palette, those are the three colors that I'm gonna probably use. Maybe this one needs to be a bit darker. But for the first step, let's just do this as abstract as possible. So for this one, I don't want you to do wet on wet technique, which means that we're gonna wet the paper. We're gonna just dive right into the color.
So leave the paper dry?
Leave the paper dry.
All right,
you heard it. Dilute the paper, the color, and then just check or look what's going on the photo.
It's a beautiful landscape you choose here.
Yeah, thank you. And try just to apply some color where needed. And for this step, I'm very much focused just on the water. So I'm basically just drawing the elements, and then I'm gonna wet the brush and find the light brown tone.
So basically you didn't fill it up with water, like you just made a couple of shapes that you recognized in the photo.
Yeah.
And you're leaving a lot of white in between?
I'm gonna try. But what we want to do here is just maybe focus on the transition. For example, you notice that you have this sand, and this sand has some sort of smooth transition to this blue color, and that's what I emphasized here. We're trying to observe what we see here, so don't focus so much on the detail, just focus more on the surfaces and the elements that you see. So try to be very observant. What did we explain before? So we have elements, we have the water, we have the sand, and then when this part dries a bit more, we're gonna add some cliffs and here some stones in the foreground. And we don't want to focus too much on the shapes of the stones. We just want them to be like, present. We want just to emphasize the form, and that's basically it for this first sketch. Because we just want to get this feeling of ambient, or how to say,
atmosphere, ambient,
atmosphere, yeah. Because sometimes in abstract paintings you get this feeling or this sense that even though the forms are not so clear, you can clearly understand what's it all about, right? You know it's a landscape, although it's so abstract you can almost not identify anything.
So what Sonia chose for you today is basically going from an abstract painting, an abstract version, to a more complex one that we will come to later. That's good because now first you will focus and use that, what you just saw in the beginning where we showed you that sketch, use the awareness that waterscape or whatever you would call it, has different features besides water. So this is basically what we're gonna try out in the first one, and then when we will go into the next ones, you will go more in detail with Sonia how to differentiate that water, how to make some waves and stuff like that. But right now it's completely fine if it stays simple. Less is more. You prefer like more abstract paintings, more, let's say, minimalistic landscape paintings anyway.
Who, me or we?
We.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, I do too.
Okay, so I'm also just not so much focused on this. This is called bleeding, so everything is bleeding in each other. So the colors touched, and that's why this is happening. But this is also fine. We're gonna later on add some more color, and through that we're gonna create a bit more depth.
All right, so meanwhile, I will just turn to the comments. If anyone has any questions, do ask at this point. We'll gladly answer them. Anyone who, Marie says late to the party, no problem, Marie. We're gonna do 4 paintings today, so you can also join in with the second one, third one, fourth one. Just, get out your watercolor, get out some paper. And if someone is here today just watching, you can just ask a question or two. I will be here to answer it for you, more or less.
Okay, so I think this is almost finished.
Wow, beautiful. Yeah. Wow, I really like how just with a couple of strokes, really we got this sense of this water scape.
I can also give you another suggestion. Maybe you can also squint with your eyes a bit, and you're gonna notice that this foreground is definitely very black. So we're gonna add this one as well.
Squint with your eyes is an amazing tip. Really squint and just watch, from, just a little bit, because it abstracts basically everything you see. It's like a abstraction tool that you have and you don't know you do.
Yeah.
Squinting with your eyes, trying to abstractly see the things in front of you. And then you can compare it with your sketch. Like, is it, does it have the same values? Does it need more contrast? We use it all the time.
True.
The squint test.
Okay. And now at the end, you can also start applying some dots. I'm just trying to, I'm using dots for just trying to add some more depth, or you can add some lines, whatever you wish.
Got an interesting question here from Roxy. Could you first of all name the colors and how to mix the brown?
The brown. So I mixed, if you want to have the names of the colors. So
the brand is?
The brand is the Pocket Box by Van Gogh. I think this is the basic palette. I'm just trying it out. I think it's for the first time. Gasper already tried it.
Yeah.
But it's also by Royal Talents.
So we cannot yet endorse it. It has to be Linescapes approved. We have to be using it for a month, and then you can ask us again if it's worth getting.
Yeah, but it looks good. But for now, I was using the burnt sienna, and then the ochre, the yellow ochre, and the Pines gray. So I use those tones for now.
I love the creativity of the names. They always come up with such poetic names.
But still, I mean, Hooker's green.
Still don't know where that name came from.
Yeah, and I was using also the ultramarine deep.
And there is a general tip on how to mix brown, basically. You can get, basically, the best brown, if you don't have brown in your palette, by mixing all three primary colors together, right? And then by adding different proportions of each of the primary colors, then your brown will change in its shade. And if you haven't been around, we did a tutorial on how to do a watercolor wheel, or color wheel, how to do a color wheel, and we talked about this color theory last Saturday. So check that out. I think you can take a lot from there.
Okay, so I suggest we stop here and continue to the next one.
All right. So how did it go? Tell us if you are also near the end. I mean, if you're not done yet, that's not a problem. I think it should stay a bit unfinished.
Ooh, what we can add is just like, a sense that there's a sky. That's something that was missing.
All right. Okay. I like how you didn't pull it all the way down to the landscape, so it doesn't bleed into it. You left like a white line at the horizon where it's anyway the lightest.
Yeah. Okay, so I think this is done.
Amazing.
And this was the first exercise. And now we're going to go into the next one, which I'm going to prepare right now.
I'm going to watch now how she does it, so I will know for the next. Anyways, Surmai asking that it's looking nice and how we are today. How are you today, Sonia?
I'm good. I'm okay. No, I'm okay. Yeah.
You know what? For me, these live streams that we do are a highlight of my day. Usually, in the morning, I always have I have a journal, and I write down what am I looking forward to in that day. And if it's one of our live stream days, I write down, I think every time I'm looking forward to the live stream.
Yeah. Me as well. The second painting we're going to do is monochromatic painting. We're going to use just one color. This will be the blue tone, the blue shade. I'm going to use the aquamarine deep tone. And the use for this exercise is to practice the amount of pigment you can use to just create some depth and maybe add some texture and everything else. So I will just suggest that we get started.
Yeah, I really like this second landscape. It's basic. It could almost be black and white.
Yeah.
And what is going to be your focus, basically? Because before, with the beginning, we talked a lot about the importance of focus.
Well, I cannot see so much of the waves because they are not so emphasized. What's more in contrast here are the stones and the boulders. So I'm gonna focus on those. And I'm just gonna go inside with some color. So what we want to establish is just to get like the whole page or the whole square blue, but just light shade of blue. We just don't want it to be white. That's basically it. And don't start with wet on wet technique because it's gonna take too long to dry. So that's why I just took some water, like very diluted. Look at this, and I started applying some paint.
Nice.
Okay, so basically we need to let this dry now, which is not so practical, but hey.
Yeah, so when you're doing this, when you cover your page, don't use too much water because you will have to wait a long time for it to dry, because we need a relatively dry surface so the color won't bleed out and create this cauliflower effect that is very known in watercolors.
Oh, you're learning.
I'm
That's
learning.
nice.
I'm learning with you, with everyone watching this live streams. Watercolor is not my medium yet, but sometimes at night I wake up and practice.
You're trying to impress me, huh?
Yeah, I cannot show you what I'm working on, a secret project.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna go inside, and maybe I saw there are some clouds. Can you maybe yes, that's something I need. Yes. Okay, so we didn't draw anything before, but maybe this is the time where I can also just. It's still time just to maybe show you where the line for horizon is going to be, and then the rocks are gonna be somewhere here, and there also a few rocks are gonna be positioned here. So basically I just showed you like approximately like bubble diagram where I'm gonna position my elements, and this is going to be the horizon line. But if you used the pencil before, that's even better suggestion. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna add some clouds. They're very fine, very small, and almost not to be seen. So be very, very, very light when using color, and also try to practice the line in sense of just use the tip of this brush.
Nice.
To add some cloudy shapes.
So basically this time, because the clouds are like overcast sky, the clouds are dark, you're making the clouds actually darker and not lighter as one would usually make on a clear day.
Exactly. But this is also some kind of foggy landscape. Usually it's like there, of course, always when you're dealing with water, everything has to do with the reflection. So think about that as well. That's why we're starting off with very easy examples where we can just focus on things like shadow or shade and the tone and the intensity of color and pigments, so that you're just not overwhelmed with everything, because maybe that's the topic for the next time. Okay, so my surface dried, which is awesome. Now I can start working on other parts. And
Nice.
Now when the sky is dry or done, I'm gonna start adding this part, because we always try to do the darkest parts at the end. So we're slowly going to build this monochromatic painting, starting with the lightest tones, and then we're gonna build up to the darkest tones. And if you see this logic, that means that the darkest parts of the painting are those rocks that are positioned here in this part. So we're gonna do those in the end.
Why do you do this way?
Because you can't, if you start with dark tones and colors, you can never go back. So then you need to adjust everything according that intense color, and we don't want that. We want to have the sense of the feeling that we're in charge, right? We want to control the painting and not the other way around. We don't want that everything what we draw is somehow focused around just one element. you want to give yourself this time to think about the next following steps. So that's why we're always progressing from light to dark.
That's good. Remember.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna add now some lines. So somewhere here is going to be my line for my horizon line.
So if anyone has some questions at this point, do share them, especially people who are just watching. I know some people are just watching and not painting along, because that's always how it is. And you can just gladly write something in the chat, and I will have something to do besides watching Sonia and listening. But also, if you really have any general questions, you can also ask. I'd like to use this opportunity also to tell you that on Saturday we're going to have an interesting live stream, which I'm really, really looking forward to. We want to talk about a bit the struggles that creatives face. Be it like in everyday life when creating, be it like a professional field when they have clients, or just in general when you're creating something, whatever actually comes up. Because we've been getting so many questions about, how I've overcome the creative block. What do I do? What I think my art is not good enough, or how do I, promote my art and stuff like that. So these are all different struggles. And for Saturday, it will be great if you send us some questions, and we'll do like let's talk, creative struggles.
Yeah.
Just so you know. Anyways, back to you, Sonia, and your amazing landscape.
Okay, so what I added is a few fine lines which define the horizon. And now I also started noticing that the lower part, so this right corner, is pretty dark in comparison to this upper part of the painting. So that's why I made it a bit darker. And through that I also, later on I need to just color the pieces in between. So in between rocks, we want to avoid it if possible. Okay, so I think I'm at the point where I can start creating the outline for this right part of the stone wall or the cliff. And I'm gonna take this pre-mixed color that I created here. Okay, I'm gonna put this even more like this. I'm gonna just check it how strong it is. And remember, you can always go darker, so don't go too dark at the beginning when you're starting to trace the forms.
Don't go right away to the dark side,
Just progress slowly.
Yeah, start, try to stay on the Jedi path for at least like a bit, and then you can go to the dark side.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have an interesting question. Do you do digital painting also? Do you?
I'm just trying out, I would say. Because till now it was very fun just to draw hand drawings. And but I see the appeal of digital drawing as well. And of course, when we're doing some graphics or illustrations, we always transition to digital drawing, and we do some final adjustments and corrections at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I use it quite.
Photoshop.
I use it quite a lot, I would say.
Yeah, for landscape architecture job, that's very important.
We do have like 2 graphic tablets that we use all the time to paint digitally. And also, like Sonia said, she just did, for example, last week she just worked on, or this week she's been working on a book cover illustration, and she started with hand sketches and then transitioned, of course, into digital, because in the end it's much more practical to redraw it in a digital way, because you can right away manipulate it, reproduce it. You don't have to scan it in or something. You just do a hand sketch, which is, I would say, still more easy. The first idea is to get them on paper, take a photo, a snapshot of it, and then continue working digitally. And a lot of our illustrations, like this simple kind of posts we did on Instagram, if you've seen them, these carousel posts, they're all done digitally, basically. So yeah, we do use digital. It's a tool. It's one of the creative challenges.
Yeah.
So, Ritika, I have to thank you guys. I can't get over watercolor these days. You are such amazing teachers. Also, really excited for Saturday's live.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ritika. This is amazing to hear. Watercolors are also have been a discovery for us in this quarantine time, basically,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you started a bit before, but now you really dived into it, and Sonia's been enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, I love it. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting, and also if you just it's fun at the same time and also relaxing. It's very creative. Oh man, I mean, there's so much that watercolors offer, and I just discovered this huge potential.
We've barely scratched the surface, people.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you'll stick around, we'll go deep into watercolors, I think. As one of the topics, as one of the tools, that might be. I think it's interesting. Watercolor is a bit of an overlooked tool. I mean, it's very popular. It's cool. It's fun to do with kids and stuff like that. But it's seldomly really considered a very serious medium. Oils, acrylics, or maybe other mediums are more. This is my experience. I don't know what's your thought on that, but watercolor is a bit like, yeah, I would say underrated, but I think it has a lot to offer.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's so interesting that, for example, the Chinese art. I mean, now I appreciate
The
it
ink,
so
yeah.
much.
The traditional Chinese paintings.
Yeah,
Amazing.
That's really something that's eye-opening for me personally.
They're basically monochromatic watercolors.
Yeah. But those are really pieces of art if you consider what do they do and how they do it.
Oh, definitely.
It's beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. Okay, so if you noticed, I didn't think about diving into details right away because those are the things that come later on. So we're slowly building this painting, this small piece. We can also make a few abstractions, so don't focus on form too much. We want it to be just the right amount of crazy and bold. And as said before, you can always build up. For example, I see that the clouds on the lower parts are a bit darker. So now when this part is drying, I can go up and start building this part once more and try to deepen the tones that I already created.
I love it how you did monochromatic, but basically blue. Like, this is the thing with monochromatic. You just pick one color and you stick to it, and it's still an amazing array of different tones you can get out of it.
Yeah, it is. And you really, if you're using one tone, you really get the feeling for the color, what you can achieve with just one tone. And you develop also the sensibility, which is needed in any case. So every time you're using watercolors, it's very important that you develop this feeling. So how the pigment is behaving on your canvas. What does it mean when it comes in touch with water? So these are all very important things.
So how did you draw water? Basically here, water is actually left out blank.
Yeah. Because usually I noticed that if you just leave the main focal element absent in some way, you emphasize it even more sometimes. Because if also it's the same as with the exercise we did, the creative exercise when we concentrated on negative space. If you're focusing on your focal element, then you have more chance to make mistakes. And if you're just focusing on
the outline, everything
on
around
the outline
and
beautiful. Everything around it, then you have more chances that you're gonna get it right.
Oh, this is nice philosophical thought in general.
Yeah. Okay. And I think now it's the time where I start building really deep tones, and I'm gonna start coloring in the vegetation and the tones of the wet stone, because I think we slowly need to transition to the next painting.
And I will take a look at the comments. We've gotten some really nice comments, and we're really grateful for all your feedback always. Also, we're really grateful if you leave a comment, if you're watching this on replay. Feedback is really, really appreciated. So if you're liking this video or in general videos, you can give it a thumbs up, gently click that like button. Yeah, it means a lot to us because it gets the video out to more people. So we have that clouds look amazing from Carlos, and Maria loved the Star Wars reference. Awesome, Maria. I'm a total Star Wars geek. I don't know if I've ever spoken about this publicly, but well, now I did. We have Harsh here joining us, asking also which brand of color are we using. So Harsh, this is the Van Gogh brand by Royal Talents. It's a Dutch brand. We've been trying this for a while now. They seem to be working fine. Astrid saying, I just recently started watching your Basics of Drawing series and I'm learning so much. Astrid, we're really, really glad. I think that series was one of the better ones we did.
Yeah.
Because it really, builds up from the beginning to a certain stage and where you can pick up and continue. Yeah, I'm really glad you're doing it. And then Freude, I have just joined, so I don't know why you are only using blue color only for the rocks. Sonia, why only the blue?
Because we're just working on the monochromatic painting, which means that we're trying to do everything just in one color.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, we are trying to develop a sensibility for mixing colors and the feeling how much pigment is necessary to get one certain color of one opacity of one color, because I noticed that that's the main problem we usually have.
That we're overwhelmed with different
First
colors?
of all, we're overwhelmed with different colors and we don't have the sensibility or the feeling, the right feeling for the amount of water that's needed when using pigments. And this is also at the same time a very good exercise for just that kind of, yeah.
I think it's a good tip when starting with watercolors, rather than rushing into the whole color palette and going crazy with the colors, start with one and first learn, how the water behaves, how the pigment behaves when it spreads on paper. I think this is a good rule of thumb. And then slowly, add a second color, add a third. So, yeah, I know out of experience because, I just went in with all the colors and it was just, bleh. Brown mush. Anyways, we have some nice feedback as well, continuing coming in here. Astrid saying, my boyfriend has been having problems getting back into drawing and I got him to watch your videos as well and he's enjoying them a lot.
Yes.
You guys are great.
Thank
Astrid,
you.
Thanks a lot and shout out to your boyfriend. We hope that he's enjoying getting back into drawing. Best platform to learn to draw. Great job from Harsh. Thank you, Harsh. And Zoe saying, I have to say I really enjoy your positive attitude toward learning a new skill. I'm very critical of what I do and I get frustrated, so your attitude is very encouraging. Zoe, this is really nice to hear. This is basically getting this kind of feedback is basically why we do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we do this because this is what we love to do. Our perfect day consists of sitting in our creative corner and painting and drawing, or maybe doing the same thing outside. But what drives us to put all that online and to share our knowledge is, getting nice feedback and hearing how we're helping people. So thank you. Marie, excited about this, but a little behind. She is painting today.
Oh,
this
nice.
is very good. No problem if you're a little behind. This video will stay online, so you can always catch up later and rewatch it or whatever. Sonia has become a really fast painter, I would say as well.
Well, I think this is one thing that you just automatically develop when doing certain amount of sketches, and you also just figure out that some things need to be done fast and some a bit slower. And this is also what I'm trying to take advantage of. And I like this, that my work is also dynamic, because I'm not that kind of person that likes to sit for 6 hours just, drawing the strokes.
Oh, you're not?
In first year university landscape architecture, we needed to do a project we needed to do a perspective and a ground plan based on dots. So everything needed to be done with small dots, like rendering dots. I'm not sure how many were there on one A3 piece of paper, but I think it's like 50,000.
Anyways, we all went crazy. So since then, we moved to more simple mediums like watercolor.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a type of meditation, but it was also a type of torture, I would say.
Both. Just both.
Has anyone of you ever made an artwork like that, or painting, drawing, where you only did, with points or with little strokes, something really taking a long time, but sort of meditative, but also, a bit questionable? I'd be interested to hear if this is like something you like, actually, because some people really like it's like meditation to them. And they can do like 5 by 5 meter mandala and really enjoy doing it.
So at the end, I'm adding just a bit of water, and since this is so small, I'm not allowed to explore it a bit more. And I think that's great, because I need to think about it. How will I now just get this feeling of movement, of this just water that's just moving around? And maybe in this part I can add some lines like this and try if it works.
Beautiful.
And since it's so small, it also allows you to make mistakes, because they are so small. You don't think about it like, I need to redo everything. It's just like very small painting. You did it with one color. I mean, you need to appreciate your struggle.
So if you're not finished with this one, we'll also go now to the next one. And you can always, later take a snapshot of this image, or you just rewatch the video and you can finish it if you want. And we'd also really, really appreciate it. It means always a lot to us if you shared your work in our Facebook group or on Instagram or somewhere where we can see it. If you don't have any of these other social media, you can send us an email. But it's always awesome to see, because then for hours afterwards with Sonia, we go like through the social media feeds and we're like, look what people did. Or look at it the next day, and it's amazing what all of you did and posted. So a great place to do that is our Facebook group if you're not in it yet. I know a lot of you are who are here, been very active members of the community, and I really enjoy everything you do. And the rest of you can join and post it there. And also, I will send out a heart to Louis. Thanks a lot, Louis, for your support.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You help us do this full time someday. All right.
Okay, the second one is done. I'm not sure if we're gonna manage the fourth one, but the third one for sure. And now I think you were like, for the first two, you were just thinking about, Sonia, just show us something we can really do and draw, and now it's coming. But before it comes, I need to prepare it first. So Gasper, I think you need to tell a few more words. But I would also like to ask you, are you done with your painting, or are you still working on it? Was that good enough of explanation for you, or do you still struggle with some points? So what was the hard stuff? Was something that didn't come across, or are you just struggling with colors or with the amount of pigments?
Yeah.
What's your stand? Where are you?
Yeah, tell us this as well. If you're watching a replay, we always read the comments and we basically answer 100% of the stuff you send us. If we don't, just give us a nudge.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets lost in the storm of incoming messages. Well, maybe I should watch what you're doing now, Sonia, so I know for the next time.
Yeah.
But, well, maybe you'll show me later.
I think I need to show you later.
Yeah. Anyway, Sonia is preparing for you the next landscape. She, you can see the color. It's already nice. I already like it. Let's see. All right.
No.
Crazy. Sonia, you're going wild here.
Yes, okay. I think I got it back. And now...
Wow, beautiful.
Yes.
Wow. I love this color scheme. It is a beautiful mint and brown, so basically mint and orange. It's actually a complementary color scheme. Mm-hmm. Now that I know something about color, I can tell you. Even though it's diluted down to this kind of sky, and the beach is obviously kind of brownish, so a bit more dark. It's in essence like an orange mint color scheme. Beautiful.
Okay, so if you're done, then I suggest that we just move on to the next one. And now, so the first one was the abstract one, where we were just thinking about the elements. We were just trying to consciously think about the elements that are there in the painting. And for example, we were just, when I see the first painting, it's just like, oh, we have the sky, we have apparently some water surface, then we have some stones, and probably like a mountain or a cliff, it's also some stone. And then for the second one, we were just very deeply thinking about the color itself. So with what kind of amount of one color do I need to create one painting, for example? And that's also very good exercise, especially if you're dealing with water.
Mm-hmm.
And now the third one is going to be the colored version. And this one, of course, you can use color. That's also what we want for today. But maybe since I also chose the views that are very big, so you don't see so much details. And that's intentionally, because I didn't want for you to focus on the ripples in the sand or in the water or in the waves, or how do the waves look like. That's the topic for itself. And since we're just starting out, let's start with small steps. Okay. So what you're gonna do first, you're gonna do an outline. So take your pen and start filling out the lines that you're gonna need to create your horizon line, to define your beach. I think I'm pronouncing the word beach totally wrong.
Beach.
Yeah. And Gasper tried very hard to bring that across, but somehow when I start talking, well, the beach comes back.
Don't worry, Sonia. We've got, like the foreigner's joker, or what do you call it? Like it's, I think we're excused.
Okay.
I think we're excused. We have the same thing in German. We always like we talk nonsense in German as well, and some silly stuff, and people just people usually laugh. We should do like, we have good English days and bad English days, and it could be like a bad English day t-shirt that we wear when we have like a bad English day.
So that everyone knows that we're having a bad English day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna paint some bitches. On bad English days. Good English days, we're gonna do some beaches. Anyways.
The thing is that I almost don't hear the difference,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The subtleties of the English language.
Beautiful. Escape
many a foreigner. So what you're doing now, you're basically mapping out your forms with a pencil, right?
Yeah. So I did the horizon line,
Mm-hmm.
and now I started to define the beach part, and then I'm also gonna draw the line where the settlement is gonna be positioned, and then also the hill in the background. And afterward, I'm gonna just start applying the color. Finally.
A thing that comes to mind, like you could say beach. Maybe it's beach, in like peach.
Peach.
I don't know. Native speakers tell us. Is it like the beach sound? Maybe sounds right. I hope. Anyways. Well,
What's your point, Gasper? What are you trying to tell me?
nothing. Just like saying that, trying out how to pronounce that word. Before we asked if there people have already tried doing something like in points, like this pointillism that you mentioned before.
Yeah.
So actually, Marianne said that she made a tree in acrylic like that. Wow, so
Ooh.
respect. This is a lot of points. I know he probably painted every leaf. It takes. Did you like it? Did you like doing it? You know, doing everything out of small elements, because it is kind of meditative, and I think in the end the result is pretty satisfying. Zoe says, "Nope, such a thing would drive me crazy. I like to get it done in one sitting." And Lewis says, "Your method is very inspiring. Your steps are so helpful, and the way you use color." Wow.
Thank you.
So I think this still relates to the one before. The dark people were just finishing up their drawings. Also, some of them will finish them later. And Samantha says, "Thank you for all your tutorials. They are always fantastic." Lewis, "This is what I see every day and always want to paint, but never feel confident to start. So thanks for this picture." Wow, Lewis, really?
Wow.
This is amazing. So this one or the one before? Wow, awesome. It's a beautiful setting. I must admit that beautiful environments inspire me more to draw. When we went to Tuscany, for example, on a trip, it was just like every corner was so amazing. We were basically stopping at every corner and didn't progress at all because we were drawing and painting all the time. So I know, what you're talking about. It is inspiring.
Can you still remember we did 2 weeks of Tuscany with bikes, and I know that we needed to accomplish like 60 kilometers of a not road, but yeah. But we needed to do 60 kilometers that day, and we accomplished probably 20, because as you said, around every corner we were just stopping and drawing like crazy.
And I think when then moving, let's say, to Berlin, which wasn't for us, for me at least, it wasn't like, a more beautiful place. It was actually more, let's say, mundane, although Berlin has very, very nice corners. Still, it's a big city. And the challenge is to find beauty also in settings that you wouldn't consider beautiful automatically. And I would encourage you to try that. If you're not living in a place, like Lewis, with beautiful view that you see every day, try to find beautiful views. Try to frame, it is like walking around with a camera, trying to frame and find a beautiful view and then drawing or painting it. I think this is a nice creative challenge that you can do.
Can I just, in between, give some directions?
Yes.
Okay, so we have now 2 colors that are predominantly present. So we have this blue, green, and then we have this sandy yellow brown tone. And
what would you call the green? Blue-green? Azure?
Azure, I mixed it.
Teal probably, yeah?
Teal, yeah.
I'll call it
probably
teal. Yeah.
I mixed it with ultramarine and sap green, and then added some white as well. So I'm gonna just try to figure out somehow what kind of tone do I need, but I know for sure that it needs to be a warm tone because the sand is warm. So also in that blue needs to be something that's warm, and you can also see it here. The sky is very warm. The whole painting or whole photo that you see is very warm. So that's also what we want to create. And basically what we're gonna add, we want to color in now first the sky and also this part for the sand. And afterwards we're gonna focus on the waves in this water part.
Now this, what we said at the beginning, really comes in handy. You know, when you see a coastal landscape, like a landscape with water, think about, decompose it into its parts. So sky is one part, as Sonia just said. Then there is the dry beach. There is the wet beach, the wet sand. There is the shallow water, you know, where the waves break, and there is the deeper water where it gets much more deeper blue usually. So try to deconstruct it, decompose it, and see it in a way, see it as a composition of shapes, of surfaces, right? This will help you paint it and help you understand it better. This is a very good trick for observing when you're creating visual works.
Okay, so I started off with applying just a layer of water, and with that I'm gonna get a more smoother transition. And you can also notice that the sky on the top of the photo is darker, and then it slowly transitions in direction to horizon and gets a bit lighter, and that's also what we want to create. So that's one thing. And then from this side up we also have the similar situation, or actually from here we have like this dark edge, and then it transitions in this direction to lighter color.
Actually, it just occurred to me.
Yeah.
Just one quick thing. I think this is valuable. I just actually really realized that no matter if you go from the bottom to the horizon, you know, from the landscape part, from the land part, or from the sky to the horizon, the color gradient will always go towards more desaturated, more blue, more light colors. So you have saturated blue on the top of the sky going down to the bright blue and white to the horizon, and the same saturated colors going into the background to the horizon from the bottom are always getting more blue and more light. This is because there are a lot of particles in the air near the horizon, and you know, the further you see in the horizon, the more light gets blocked, and only the blue light comes through, and only the brighter light comes through. So always remember, from top and from bottom, start and get lighter towards your horizon.
Very nice, Kasper. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I just realized that, but it is true. I mean, just like, it makes total sense because of this, because of the atmosphere you're looking through, right?
Right. Okay, so did I mess it up? Yes, I did. I started too fast, but okay, we're gonna correct it. Actually, I should follow this line, but I started off here.
Well, the good trick is nobody will know.
Nobody will know. That's right.
Except for everyone watching this live stream, but.
But it was awesome, right?
Also a good thing to remember. If you get it wrong, don't stress. Nobody saw the original view, so nobody will know. Okay,
so I will just start.
Meanwhile, Sonia, I will, look back into the comments because they're really fun. People were pretty laughing about the peach, and Louis says, yes, peach is good. So just think of peaches. And then Anne Marshall sent us a donation, and Samantha Gonzalez also sent us. So we are sending a heart out to both of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Samantha. This is really nice to have your support. And also thanks to everyone who's just, watching, sharing our stuff, giving us feedback. Really appreciate all of it. So, thanks for being around. Thanks for sticking around. And I hope we're giving you some value. And if you have a feeling you have a question or want to learn something more, just go ahead and ask us.
Okay, so now, as you see what I did, I tried to get some sort of even surface here. But you can see pretty clear lines when it comes to this water surface and the wet sand, and then we have this middle part. And I suggest that we just let it dry, and then when it's dried, we're gonna add another layer of color for this part, and then another one for this part. And in between, when we're waiting, we're gonna start working on this particular part, and maybe also on these small ripples in between. So we're gonna just let this dry, or maybe you see here are some clouds. I think we have still time to add some of those clouds inside. And I think I already showed you before, there's this amazing technique where you just use like very strongly destroyed paper towel.
Destroy that paper towel.
And then you just try to get or lift some of this color of the paper. And this is what we're doing right now.
This is such a magic move.
Yeah, and try really to get it like long. We don't want to have them bulky, like a shape of a fist, but we really want to get these stretched forms, which form because of the wind who's blowing those clouds apart and stretching them out. So you can also try to use like, just...
So there are no cumulonimbuses today?
No. None.
I've been practicing that word.
Cumulonimbus. Cumulonimbus. Cumulonimbus.
The fluffy cloud. The cumulonimbus.
Cumulonimbus.
Yeah, exactly.
What you said?
What you said.
Cumulonimbus.
Yeah.
Okay, so I indicated some clouds. For now, that's fine. If you want to make them even lighter, lighter, then at the end, when everything's dry, use white paint or white acrylic, or you can also use white watercolor paint.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
So are you stressing about the fact that your beach is bleeding into the sky, or does it not matter in this case?
No, I mean, it could stress me out, but as you see, there's also, you see this transition on the horizon line?
It actually looks browner in there.
Yeah, and there's a documentary that you need to watch on Netflix. It's in abstract series about an architect who's living in Berlin and doing light installations. And he's an expert on light. And he does amazing job just thinking about light and using it to his advantage. So every time he's doing very interesting installations, and what he once said, very interesting thing, that every city or different parts of the world have different colors. And that's because of the light, because of the reflection of the land in the sky.
Wow, so you have like this kind of brown landscape. It actually also reflects back up to the sky and makes it more brownish.
Yeah,
wow,
and that's
amazing.
Why you never can get a certain type of light in all environments. It never gets the same. That's why you always need to adjust your camera.
Nick said Olafur Eliasson. That's right, Nick. The artist's name is Olafur Eliasson. He does amazing work. We should it would be amazing to interview him, right? For our channel.
Oh.
We don't know yet how we're going to get to all of these people, but we have like a list of totally amazing people we want to interview. And maybe do exercises with them, maybe even creative exercises that we can do together with you on our channel. Really enjoy talking to interesting people. So I think it will be something we will do more in the future when now the quarantine is over. Or maybe just over Zoom or something.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in that? Would you be interested in talks about other creatives, about their work, about their tips that they would give other artists? Let us know, because we definitely enjoy it, and if there would be we would try to organize stuff like that and do videos on this topic as well.
Okay.
Oh wow, you nailed the color of the the color combination, beautiful. Now I understand. It's basically a split complementary color scheme. So you have the very bluish sky, you have like the orange sand, and then you have the more green like sea, which combines all three of those combined into a split complementary color scheme. You can check our video on how basics of color to learn more about that, and it's very useful to know a little bit about color schemes.
Okay, so what I started to add are these like forms that indicate water.
Nice.
And I think this part right so much that I can start now adding a new layer of color. I can darken the tone a bit, so I'm gonna use two colors. I'm gonna use the yellow orange and burnt sienna.
Burnt sienna is such a beautiful name.
Yeah, amazing, right? And I think I'm gonna use the same color then later on also for oof, that's pigmented.
That's quite pigmented.
Talking about the feeling for color, no? This is then.
Sometimes watercolors surprise you, right?
Yeah.
Or in general, you put a line on paper or paint, and sometimes it's a positive surprise. Sometimes, let's say, is a challenging surprise.
Ooh, challenging surprise.
Wow, this looks amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
And I think I'm gonna also now in this part try. So you see I have this line which is very clear, and in this part it's very organic, and I'm gonna try
more jagged, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get this jagged line.
This is also a general thing. Up close you have more details, and when it goes into the back, the shapes merge into more general, simple shapes. And by using this, by giving the foreground, the first layer of your image, more details, you create a feeling of depth, and this does the composition, the general composition of an image, good. Meanwhile, Freud asks, Freude, right? Is it Freude? Is it like a German Freude, like joy? If we have a Reddit page, and if not, then why not? Freude, we have a Reddit account, and we post our videos, not the live streams, but the videos we do, like the finished cut videos, in certain groups. But I don't know if there's a Reddit page. We have a Reddit profile. It's called Landscapes. You can check it out, but not a page. We should have a page. We should, like a subreddit. Maybe we should have a subreddit. So Maria said it would be awesome to get these people to talk with the people.
Okay.
And then Marianne says, I live in Aarhus, and we have a great art museum, Aros, with a corridor made of rainbow-colored glass on the roof, so you can walk and see the city in all colors. And it was made by Olafur Eliasson.
Ooh.
Wow. So
you're lucky.
I think Olafur Eliasson is originally from Denmark. Yes, beautiful. I must admit we haven't been to any of his exhibitions, but once the quarantine lifts and all the museums and galleries open in Berlin, I think we should definitely check out what he's doing around this time, because we have the luxury also of living in the same place he does. Maybe we can stalk him.
He'll be pleased.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave this part dry now again, and I think I can start working on this small piece here. And maybe I'm gonna start first with just adding the hills, and then what's left then is just this small settlement or city in the background.
Nice.
Okay. And for that, I'm gonna also use the same tones that I'm using right now. So basically, I'm working with two colors all the time.
what I really like is, again, your use of white space, blank space, and how important it is to this image. So basically, you just abstracted the water and left the area where the waves would be blank, and this immediately creates an illusion of these breaking waves. It's amazing how much just a blank area can do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's also very very interesting. And also it gives me somehow how this support or this feeling that, I can leave something away. It's basically comforting me as well, because when I'm just thinking about I need to draw everything and think about all the details, then I'm overwhelmed, then I don't know all the steps, I forget some things. And basically it's not always important the steps and blah 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 blah. It's what's important is your creative process, and you need to enjoy it. And that's why we started with those small steps. I don't want you to be overwhelmed and to struggle all the time while doing this. You need to enjoy the process as well. So next time we're gonna do more demanding stuff, and that's okay. I mean, next time you're gonna be ready. If not physically, like in skill, at least mentally, you know what's following, and that's the most important thing.
And also, to be honest, we'll be more ready as well.
Yeah. What was that today? Okay, so I think thank you very much.
Yeah, I just pulled up the image bigger for Sonia so she can see actually what we're supposed to paint. What you just said, I really think it's a good point, that you have to enjoy what you do. And it is maybe something we could talk about on Saturday as well. For those of you who just who joined later or haven't heard before, I said on Saturday we have an interesting live stream where we want to talk about creative struggles. So struggles people who express themselves creatively face. May there be like professional struggles, where you're under pressure and you have to deliver something, or you have to be creative, on demand, or if you're just doing this as a hobby or like a relaxation. There's also similar struggles. How do you start? Do you want to show your work to others, or you're unsure and stuff like that? You're lacking inspiration. So there's so many things, and you can send us questions in, and we'll talk about them on Saturday. You can already send us questions before, on Facebook, Instagram, or our email.
Or even now, when you're just...
Yeah, you can also...
If something comes to mind.
And one of those was, I would say, like this enjoyment, which, every creative endeavor has danger of becoming a chore or a job. Or, it's amazing if you can live off your of your creations, but you have to be careful to have a part that is only for you, that is only fun, only play.
It's basically sacred, right?
Yeah, it's sacred.
Like just for you.
It's just sacred. It's only for play.
You could also say it's egoistical, but
yeah, it should be.
At the same time.
Yeah, it should be for you.
Why not?
Yeah, maybe not even share it. Maybe even destroy it afterwards. It's just the act of doing it that is nice. All right. Zoe says, creative struggles are my thing. So Zoe gladly send us, some questions. We have Seed Mike with us, joining a bit later, so hello. Today's live stream is a pretty long one, but the topic is quite meditative and I think slow. And I think Sonia taught us so much today. I think it's worth sticking through.
Thank you. Well, but it is a very interesting topic, right? Because, I think this can also be an introduction to the things we're going to discuss on Saturday. Because I also, for example, every time, especially now when I'm at this phase where I'm trying to learn a new medium like watercolors, I'm struggling a lot in the sense that I don't know which steps to take, and I'm really trying to have like this plan of steps, because that's the only thing that helps me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's holding me back so much because of course I would just like to create and express myself.
Recipes are helpful, especially in the beginning, but they can be dangerous because they can restrain you.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's also this nice saying that rules are there to break. So it's nice to know where are boundaries, how to deal with them, but then at the same time, it's also very good when you know how to break them, or you know that you just have this insurance. Okay, it's my thing. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. So do not be like me when cooking from recipes. I look at the recipe and go, let's break this right away. I never stick through. But it would be a good idea to try it at least once and then, have something to compare it to.
Okay, so I'm gonna add the last layer. And I'm gonna try to be very organic.
So this time you're basically ignoring the surface?
Yeah, I'm just ignoring the surface. If you want to add people at the end, I suggest you just use a darker tone. Maybe you can add like grayish tone and just
a very dry brush.
And
wait that your surface is dry before you do it, because if not, they will just bleed out and they will become little balls of soot.
Do you have experience in this particular topic, Kasper?
If I'm practicing in secret? No, I've been listening to you, what you say, and I've been watching you work, and when you learn maybe from other tutorials, I listen as well.
Okay, so I created this line, and now I'm just gonna pull this color downwards in the direction of this line here. And so we don't want to add any additional pigment. We want just to use this one.
Awesome.
Because it's enough of paint, I would say.
Yeah, once again, you basically restrained yourself to 3 paints, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to 3 colors. You have this teal or cyan, maybe. You have your more aquamarine blue, right? And you have your orange, brownish, maybe there's a bit of differences there in lightness, but it's in essence the same tone.
Yeah. Okay, so what I notice is that maybe I need to adjust this part here, because here it's very linear, and I think this will be better.
Nice. Oh, this is one interesting observation as well. With water, when you're watching at the sea, I think this is true. We'll have to. Okay, now don't believe me, but I will think loud now, because I think that when the sea goes to the horizon, the sea or the water surface close to you is lighter because of the way the light reflects off it, and the surfaces which it reflects from the waves are bigger, so you see more big bright shapes, so it's lighter. Then it goes into the darkness because all those shapes are more compressed and it becomes darker. The actual color of the water comes through. And then all the way at the back, in the distance on the horizon, it becomes light again because of, atmosphere that is standing between us. So this is my thesis, and I will have to try it out before I can really confirm it to you.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So I noticed that these small splatters here, they are actually more condensed together in a group. So maybe that's also a suggestion for you. Don't just draw them all over the place, all over those white surface. Just do it like in a clumps. They need to build some small groups in between, because if you consider that the wave is moving, you have one wave and it's just trying to grab the sand, and then it just pulls everything back. It creates some sort of movement, and with movement also a certain pattern.
Right, so they're more like stretched out longitudinally in the direction of the water movement. Yeah.
And this is also what you can just think about. And
This is interesting. So many things to think about, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. I think it's like painting or drawing or any creative stuff. It's one part is just letting go and not thinking, and one part is thinking stuff through. And finding the balance between those two is the challenge, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh well, now that you're adding some more structure, also in these big areas, now it's really coming to life, I would say.
Yeah.
Some more texture, yeah.
That's something that you can add at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are for sure techniques where you just build it up.
If you're a printer.
No. Actually, actually, if you're a very skilled painter, you can do that as well. But
how are you picking up the color, the paint away from the paper now?
Lifting the
lifting.
Well, I'm just using the paper towel and then wetting the surface and trying to.
So first you wet the brush, you wet the surface, then you dry the brush with your towel, and then you go in with the dry brush and lift the paint off.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily making it better, as you notice. So I just wanted to create these shiny surfaces, but I'm not sure. I think there's always a point in painting or drawing where you just need
where you have to stop.
You know, when we say put the brush or the pen down, we really mean it, because sometimes you think you're doing something good, but actually you're doing just the opposite thing.
So now I will come, ex machina, and I will say, Sonia, it's time to put the brush down, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we've come far enough, and it turned out great. And it would be amazing if you showed all three again to the end to sum up really fast. All of you, how did you like today's live stream? Let us know. And what about water and painting water with watercolor, waterscapes, landscapes, streams, lakes, whatever you would also like to learn in the future?
So this is the last one. Again, the first one, the second one, and these are all together.
And we'd really appreciate to see what you created. So you can take your phone, take a snapshot, post it Instagram, Facebook. And should we, just look at what we're going to do this week?
Yeah.
All right. So Friday, one of my favorites, Feedback Friday. Many of you have already sent drawings. Just tag us on Instagram or send it on Facebook and just write for Friday. This is how we know. We give you feedback in 60 seconds.
Then on Saturday, as we mentioned, let's talk creative struggles. There we're gonna answer your questions or the topics that you suggested, and we're also gonna talk about our personal struggles.
Yeah, definitely there are many. And then coming on Monday, again, we have Creative Monday, and we're gonna do some creative muscles workout. Challenging ourselves again to push the limits of our comfort zone, or to get out of the comfort zone, push the limits of our creativity, and, have a good time.
I look forward to it.
I always look forward to it. So we have Zoe saying it was fun, painted along, and really enjoyed the images you chose. And Maria also loved this tutorial and was really enjoyable and relaxing. We also found out that Freude's name is actually joy.
Oh, wow.
This makes total sense. Joy is Freude in German. Wow. Yeah. Why did you go out with the German iteration of this name? Roxy says, thanks so much. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for sticking through.
Yeah, thank you. Today was very relaxing and different, but hey, sometimes the process needs to be like this as well.
So if you want to go more into watercolors, I definitely suggest checking out our beautiful watercolors playlist that we created with all the lessons, starting with a very good first lesson by Sonia on basics of watercolors or watercolor lessons for beginners. And then you can see also all the later ones we did. Yeah. So you can go do a deep dive on watercolor.
And please tell me or tell us if you like the topic we did today, if you would like to dive in furthermore. There are so many things that we can do and explore together, and it would be my pleasure to do that with you. So let us know in the comments, or you can also DM us on Instagram or Facebook.
All right, everyone. So, thanks again for sticking with us, and you know what to do.
Keep on drawing
And stay creative.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.